Greetings and welcome to the Destination Goa podcast, bringing you in-depth interviews with artists, label people, organizers from the golden age of the 90s to the modern era. My name is Simon Peter and I'm here with the one and only Tibus.
Nice. Let's talk about Goa trance. This is the second part of our interview with Steph from Total Eclipse. If you haven't yet listened to the first part, go and check it out. In this episode, we pick up after Delta Aquarids was released and we discuss the second album, later periods of the band, and Steph's other solo projects. Your second album, Violent Relaxation, is from 96. What do you think of that album now?
I really like it. I mean, I think it's could be more wild. But all this we always thought anyway when we did it as well. But it really works on the dance floor. That's for sure. I mean, you have the crazy, could be more crazy. Like, I mean, the most crazy track in it is Chaotic Circus, which is like, for me, it's like it's a must. I mean, I love that track because it's just like so crazy. I like the idea that you can really mix the tracks together for once, far more easily than on the first track. But my favorite of Total Eclipse is tracks that are not in any albums, like titles, Far Beyond Speech,
Just waiting for a new life.
Waiting for a
think
New
that was-
Life, Transparent Mind, and many from the beginning. You know that. What was it called? That one. I have sometimes problem with names. I'm checking in my data in my data things. Ah, yeah, Sound is Solid.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one? That's
As
one of the
well.
first ones. Really rocking, and this one, Sound is Solid, and Far Beyond Speech are just like, for me, they're fucking mega. It's like so rock. And Collapse are as well. It's got booted out, but it's like somehow a bit brother and sister with Chaotic Circus, I think.
It sounds like there was a really difficult discussion about which tracks should go on the album and which should be left out, right?
Yeah, basically, we had planned actually to put a trance album when at Blue Room, after Violent Relaxation, we had another trance album ready, but because of Blue Room, we didn't release it. They wanted us to do something special, something different. And we didn't mind because we liked music. So make a track like this or make a track like that. Anyway, it's going to be like very much like Total Eclipse-ish. So that was okay for us. We did this Access Denied album, which is a bit more jazzy and a bit more like drum and bass and a little bit more, I don't know, like jungle somehow, or many electronic different vision of it. And that was a really bad move they got us to do. Even though now people love this album, at the time it was such a shock for people. So it's not trance, and we got a really psychologically it did hit us really badly actually.
To me, when I listened to Access Denied, I just thought that, yeah, this is jungle and drum and bass, but it's not pumping drum and bass. To me, that's also chill music, just as the second disc of Violent Relaxation, just with a different instrumentation, but it's the same down-tempo chill music in a way.
Yeah. You have to think that Blue Room is somehow part of a jazz label, and they wanted to open the world of music to more large, and we played with it. We agreed. It was certainly commercially very bad idea, but in the end, it was a great idea because we loved doing it, and we're really proud. I mean, I'm really proud of this album. I really like it as much as I like the ambient one of Violent Relaxation. I really like that one. I mean, Espaliolizar and tracks like that. Just love that guitar duet, and it was fun to do that. It's really funny because all the guitar parts on that Espaliolizar, one guitar is written by Serge, the other guitar is written by me. So, and they're talking to each other and talking more and more faster, like a contest, they call it in jazz, when they make chorus and
Do you recall which synths you were using for those?
Wave Station from who was making Wave Station? Was it Korg?
Korg, yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Korg.
Korg Wave Station. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Korg Wave Station. I think that might have been one of them, the guitar, but maybe it was made with two different machines. Anyway, they were not the same synth making the two guitars. They had a little different. I don't remember. I mean, you ask me too much. Like I can visualize the video, but I know we were making most of our basses with the Waldorf. This I used to love that synth. Then most of our lead were 101s and Juno 106. Then pads were made more by Wave Stations and more. What was that called? Morpheus or something like that. We used to have as well and used it a lot.
Was the Ensoniq?
Yeah, is that made by Ensoniq Morpheus? Yeah, we had a lot of them in the end, rack ones. The Oberheim as well. The Matrix 1000 was very much used to make pad sounds in conjunction with others.
But it's interesting that the second album, and I guess the third one, was also done in the Bordeaux studio already, right? And then the process obviously changed because you were in your own studio, but the sound, it evolved a little bit, but it was still Total Eclipse.
Yeah, sure. But that's whatever you do. If you when you have your sound and when you're an artist, you have your sound and you have your way of writing. It's like you're signing. It's like if you're a painter, you can recognize a track from Dali from his origins to the end of his career. And this, you can probably have this way of composing that glues to you, even if you do totally different music. I mean, I can feel some Total Eclipse when I write or try to write classical music. I can feel it inside.
I'm curious about one track from Violent Relaxation, Space Clinic. Do you have any insider information about that track?
No. It's a very difficult one to put inside the set. That's for sure. For me, anyway. About that track, the one thing inside it that we made, and I don't know how we did, but there's one moment there's boom, 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 with a sound that you feel like instead of pushing the sound, the speaker is swallowing the sound or something like that. And this, I don't know how it happened, but it did. I love that little boom, 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 inside the break there.
What's on the cover of Violent Relaxation?
Oh, that's Simon. Simon at Blue Room, who was really very important for Blue Room personality, who was designing those, and we thought we liked it. It was just like an inner version of I don't know. For me, it looks like not exactly the colors, but there's something orgasmic in that kind of cross and the graphics itself, and it's like it could be also considered as a reflection of an eclipse. Inside, if you go inside the diamond ring effect. Actually, that's another good track from Total Eclipse, Ambiente. The diamond ring effect is that little light that comes out at the top of an eclipse or at the bottom where the sun just appears a tiny little bit like that. So that could be a vision out of this one blurred into something. But when he showed us, he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna try and make something." I said, "Yes, really nice. I really like it," and we all liked it. So that was adopted.
Yeah, it's interesting because you cannot really tell if it's like an early form of computer graphics or was it like a photograph.
Yes, computer graphics, yeah. And Simon was always been a really top designer. It's him who designed all the Blue Room speakers, among things.
Let's talk a little bit about live gig. Total Eclipse was a very, very active live band. And there were a couple of clips on YouTube where people can see that you guys gigged with a lot of equipment because you basically played live. So how did you prepare for such a live set?
It was hours, weeks of programmation. it was all written as the structure on one and only one song on Atari, which was a song of nearly an hour and a half, kicks and program change for every sound in the samplers and every synth and da. Then after that, we had effects on auxiliaries. So we could bang some delays, bang some reverb, all the 101s and 303 we could filter, play with whatever the envelope and so on. But there was enough ants. There was enough of three of us to do all the mess. You could be always busy, and you always had something to fix because there was always something fucking up. Which was most of the time I was the most talented at fixing machine, and it was epic, man, that time. So many gigs, when after traveling, we had big flight cases and things like that. But out of a plane and things like that, you arrive at the gig and the computer don't work, and you start going bang, bang, bang on the computer hard disk to make it work again, and it starts working. The Atari was like the flat one, not the one. It was a different one. There was two kind of Ataris. There was one with a box and an external keyboard. That's the one we had. And this one, you had to take it apart nearly a gigahertz to start fiddling with it. And then there was always a fuck up with MIDI, because we used to have the MIDEX, because there was 4 MIDI out of the Atari. Instead of only one of 16 channel, you had 4 of them. And so there was always a fuck up on the MIDI, or a synth going totally crazy. Or sometimes we were renting equipment, like in America, and you arrive at the gig and all they bring you is not what you asked for. So you have to reprogram everything like crazily and as fast as possible. I mean, it's been like totally crazy. Or you arrive at a gig and one of the machines decided to die. So you ask, like happened to us in Ibiza actually, with Ethnica. Can we borrow your synth because ours is fucked? And yeah, go on. But you have to reprogram, and redo all the program change and blah 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 blah. So it's a lot of sitting down, and you have to. After a while, you're getting really fast at it. I was programming a lot for live gigs for Juno and for Total at the time, but it was more easy with Total. We went faster to use the Atari on stage. Was was still using the MC500 because Ben didn't trust the Atari. I think he should have. And then when we moved to Macintosh, then we started having a lot of problem on stage. Then the computer, you couldn't go bang, bang on it. And the first Mac, the portable Mac, the first one they made, nightmare. How many gigs got sabotaged by the machine?
So then the promoters must have been really keen to see you play live, because there was a lot of hassle. I mean, even today, sometimes promoters are not paying enough attention.
You can't do it now, today, just for one simple reason. There is not the budget. You take one of those synths on the stage, it's more expensive than the money you're going to make. And the guys have no insurance, and they wouldn't pay transport for it, Even though with Total Eclipse at the time, we were never paying transport. Are we going to do a gig for the Dalai Lama? Or we were doing a benefit? Or sorry, we can't pay extra luggage, but we have to go and play, you know what it is. And it was working most of the time. Only one time I think we had to pay extra luggage. It's a real nightmare because it was so expensive per kilo and the number of kilometers. Well, it was crazy. The only way to have us was like this. There was no other ways to do. I mean, we could have recorded it all on that, and Serge could have played it as a DJ, because Serge was the DJ out of all of us. Then Loic started. But me, I never started to do DJ. Then after that, I make MIDI live gigs again, still. I made some MIDI live gigs not that long ago, actually, a few years ago before COVID. But I was having big screens and opening a lot of plugging synths and controllers. So having the equivalent of 2101, 303, and something doing pads and things like that. And controllers and alone playing a lot. But after this, I found out that there was only one little problem with that. You have so much to do when you're on your own, and you have all the other DJs that go like that, and all the audience. There's the communication with the audience was better. And also, the production sound is not at all like when a guy plays his records, and you can't beat it. Mastering is a mastering, and the studio with all the compressors and this and this and that, you can't do it instantaneously. Even if it's more interesting and people like, wow, see, there's something happening, but still visually, you have two big screens. If you go behind, you see that there's many things. But if you're in front, you see a big screen. It is not very impressive. Far more impressive when you see a big mixer and many synths there. That looks better. But it's in the end, it's the same thing.
Yeah, and I guess with controllers, you still have a tactile feel. You can touch the music somehow and put some feeling into it. And as you said, back in the day, you had the whole set written in MIDI and you had to perform actually with the synths, right? Yeah. So it was more like a band doing a live show.
So you have many options because some of the bands were doing a bit the same, but having tapes turning. Simon Putsford was doing like this. I think X Dream had some recordings as well, turning. I don't remember the name of those machines, but they were 8 tracks recorders or something like that, plus the MIDI and all well sync. That was doing a marvel. But we were just carrying a lot of equipment till we had enough, and we had many equipment broken, and it started costing too much.
So you have released a couple of live albums, the Live in Tokyo on Sun Trip, the one on Dot Records a couple of years ago, this one, and the live versions of the tracks, of the album tracks, are really different. That's because you had everything, the basic programmed, and then you played everything live on top of it, right?
No. It's they're different for two reasons. Because for live, I had to reprogram them up to play them. So I was picking up parts, MIDI file of this, MIDI file of that, MIDI file of that, but never you had enough. Never you had enough synth with you to play everything. So I had to choose, make a summer up. And what was played live was just like extra on top. And always we thought that anyway, it's better not to make it like the album version, because why make it the same? You may as well play the record if you want to hear the same thing. So there was a bit of difference in the programming, and also not to make it too difficult sometimes, because it's too much. Otherwise, it was not possible to make. We had too many synths in the studio, and we were taking quite a fair bit of the studio, but not all. Too much. Every time we had to disconnect everything in the studios and reconnect when we were coming back from gigging. It's like a bit of a nightmare. Plus the mixer. Everything had a flying case, and we were taking everything. We were totally crazy. I mean, so much risky.
So it was basically a necessity to reprogram the tracks, but it was also an artistic kind of choice that every live set you made was programmed for that.
No, also it was series of live sets, but after that they were changing by the live interference and only by playing with effects, filters, and envelope, you make it sound different, very much. But let's say every year was rewriting the set. And it was one set was doing a season as programming. But programming a set like that, I tell you, it take you 2 months. Because I did one not so long using those machines and things like that. It was a nightmare. Especially that I don't have all the data like before. I don't have all the Atari things got lost by time. It's a shame, actually.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting to see tracks released that were written for like a specific occasion or a specific live set, and they are different from the album version, and you can hear those small details, those small differences, and not many people do it these days. I think it's mostly like yeah, they play with the same arrangements, maybe just take one part out and they play it live on top of the exact same arrangement, but it's mostly the same as the album track, but some lines, maybe one or two track changed out of the whole.
That's amazing. Maybe it's too much work.
Yeah, I mean, if you're DJing, you get this kind of feedback when people know a track and they know exactly when the breakdown comes, they know exactly when the main part comes in, and they react to it. But I think there is a different reaction when the crowd is expecting something to happen, but it happens a little bit different.
Yes, I suppose so. Yes, yes. Especially, well, it all depends the knowledge they have of the track you're going to play. If I go and play a retro set, let's say when I go and play a retro set in Israel, I know the guys, they know all the tracks inside, out, as much as I do. Like, I see them, they're fucking singing the parts and not the most obvious parts. So, yeah, they like it. They like when I fuck them up, because even if I do a retro set with tracks, I edit them. I cut them in bits and because I say, oh, I didn't what did you do to it? Is it another mix? No, it's just an edit. But also for DJs, we used to make many mixes. No, of us, and when we were doing a track, let's say Chaotic Circus, there must have been 5 or 6 different mixes to arrive to the final one. So that was giving opportunity for Serge to play mixes that were not the same one of the album as well when he was DJing, which is like always fun, because then you make a surprise as a DJ as well.
And did you also use like demo versions of the songs that Serge would play out and see the reaction from the crowd? And then did it influence the decision on the final album version of some of the tracks? Or?
Yes, on the live sets, very much. We were putting on the live set tracks that were not out. We were deciding after that if they were good or not. And there was quite a lot of discussion on what track to put. We didn't always agree on what track to put in a live set. Yeah. Tracks not released were very often on the live sets.
Which track are you the most proud of from Total Eclipse?
That's a difficult question. Probably one I didn't work on. Maybe, I don't know. Can't Do That, Waiting for a New Life. I don't know. My favorite one, the most crazy one from the beginning, which don't sound very amazing production, because we were a bit of a light on the production level. But the writing and the ideas are just fucking amazing. And the risk taking, it's really risky. Tracks like Sound is Solid. If you re-listen to that one, it's really risky, the sound used in it. Many people wouldn't take any of those sounds nowadays. I'm sure they wouldn't.
Which tracks work the best on the dance floors?
Best on the dance floor. It all depends where and what moment of the set you're in, because like I can tell you, so the one that really get people fucking ape shit is Can't Do That, Chaotic Circus, Waiting for a New Life, Transparent Mind, and all the others as well. But those are the main way you make them screaming the most easily.
The Furnace is also a great one. I love that one.
Furnace, I love to take Furnace from Can't Do That to the Furnace.
Is there any track that you don't like because you played it too much, or you didn't really enjoy creating it or something like that?
Yeah, there are a few I don't like, yeah. Yeah, there's a few I would never play them. 1002 Nights. I look at my listing, I'm going to tell you quite a lot of them. But here we are, and the albums. So it's not in albums. Or there might be a few in Tales of the Shaman, because that's a nice album as well. Actually, Tales of the Shaman. I like the Tales of the Shaman track.
Mm-hmm.
The Quiz I don't like in this album. That Apprentice Sorcier, I don't like it much. Now in non-album, there's one I have problem, but people really like it. It's Toxic Caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a great fan of that one at all. That Black Hole, I would never play that. It's horrible. Space Fire, I would never play it. The Nautilus remix, I wouldn't play it neither. Oh, that's anyway, that's ambient. Love Machine, you probably never heard that one. I would
No,
play
I
it.
didn't.
Ulysses, I wouldn't play that neither.
Which one is your favorite down-tempo track of Total Eclipse?
It's hard to say as well. There's many of them. I like the Banyan one. It's a pretty unknown one. It's a real story. I love the Nakano Ghost track. Both of those actually, because of the story behind it and how it's made. After that, in the most known one, I like them all, man. The first album ones, as much as I know I like them all. These two Violent Realization. Tell you which one I like in there. I like the Diamond in there. I like them all. Time Drop, Pegasus, Gravity Mirage. I love it. No, I like them all. I mean, in this album, I think it's very accomplished for me. It's very rare that after all those years, because at first there was many tracks I didn't like. Then I absorbed them so much, then I started really liking them all. And now, yeah, they're really inside me, in my system.
Yeah, Blue Galaxy as well. Those are all classics, and at the time it was pretty rare to have a concept album like that. I think that we have a double-sided album. One is more up tempo and dance, and the other is like down tempo.
The idea with Blue Room was they had to put it at the price of a single album. And it was really representing our work. As I was telling you, we were doing one kicking track, then following one slow tempo just to change the mood. Then you wanted to do something speedy again, so you could, So they were really made at the same time, and they really sound the same production somehow. Made absolutely. So when did it come out, this album? 97?
96, I think.
96. Well, some of the tracks probably were already written in 95. It's like the first album. The first album took about 2 years to be released, in between the release date and the moment they were made.
Mm.
And about a 2-year gap. We knew that. So the second album as well. So it's like all of them took ages to release. Ages.
I think in 2000, you split and Serge left. Can you recall why that happened? And what does Serge do nowadays? Do you know him?
I don't see him anymore. He decided to change his life. I have no news. And I think basically he got tired of Total Eclipse and this lifestyle. And we spent a lot of time glued on each other. And he needed a break. Yeah, that's about it, really. And we started slowly not getting on. But this is a classic, you know. Normally a rock band, after 4 years, they fucking hate each other. And we did a lot more than 4 years, and we never hate each other. But life takes a different place.
It's like a marriage, just you did not say yes.
It's I mean, when you spend so much time, yes, it's like it made me really freaked out actually when he fucked off. Really, for a bit, it was a bit depressing because he was working so well, and I thought, oh, is this not the right moment? But what?
You continued with Loic for the Update Files album, which was already a different sound a little bit.
The Update File album is a ripoff. Is a ripoff. Is a guy who released the album when it was totally unfinished. It was like demos, and this guy in Japan released it, and I never seen a contract. I never had a penny, and it's a ripoff.
Do you have the finished tracks maybe so people can listen?
You're joking. I fucking thrown everything out. I was so depressed after that. Really depressed.
Sorry.
So was it like you started writing a new album, or you were just experimenting with tracks and somebody just decided to rip those tracks off of you?
He asked me for, can you give me your demos of what you do at the moment, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And next thing I see is he's mastering it, not showing me masters, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and he's selling it. And I was not in Japan, and he was in Japan. And wow, these things happened.
It was released in 2003, and you can already hear that around the early 2000s, the kind of psytrance sound was starting to shift a little bit. And it sounds like you went with the new sounds a little bit. So it was a bit more minimalistic, the tracks that I saw. But if you say those were just demos, maybe that's the explanation.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bummer. And it was a very confusing period music-wise. 2003, the music has changed so much, right? And it was really confusing. It was all became like so formatted and things like that. And there was not time spent enough on this album. It was not ready to be released, really. That's for sure. I mean, some of the tracks have sound a lot better than ones like, I don't know, Times, and I don't remember the name of the titles of it, but just looking at the lineup of the tracks, yeah, I like some of them. Yeah, but some of them are really experimental, but good experimental, like what's it called, Chewbacca and Distorted Souls. They are quite experimental. None of this is pretty like Total Eclipse-ish.
Yeah, I was listening to the album the other day, and I found the kind of Total Eclipse sounds, but the whole arrangement was a little bit more minimalistic, and
it's like following the times and not following the original ideas, which was a bit of a mistake. That's why I hardly never play any of those tracks from that album. And really, there may be one or two I might be playing to. Maybe the None of This, I would be able to play it. The Time one, there's a remix, one mix for, I think it's a Greek label or something like that, does it. If I go totally crazy on a 4-hour set, I might play the Chewbacca for sure. And the Aquas Blancas maybe at the end of a set, because it's 1:35 and it's quite melodic and quite nice. Bit of our pop for that. Far more easy for me to play 2009 album, the Shaman one, which I really like that one actually. There's some really good tracks in there. The Shaman track, what a story. But it's a real story, it's like a film. It's the shaman communicating with the guy, and the guy is in a trip, and sometimes the shaman is bringing back the guy, and sometimes he let him go in his trip. Sometimes the guy starts freaking out, so the shaman starts singing to him, "Oh, get back into the right road, mate," because you're gonna go on a bad trip if you go more like that way and things like that. I like to write like that, I make stories for tracks and follow my story.
I think Tales of a Shaman is much more Total Eclipse than Outdated Files. In Tales of a Shaman, you can hear the melodies, the trademark melodies of Total Eclipse.
So I'm writing new tracks back in that kind of vein of melodies again, because I'm doing so much retro gigs. I think, well, maybe, the more it goes, the more people wants to have retro gigs. Why don't I write retro tracks? Because I know the way they work and things like that. And I started doing one the other day. It gave me a lot of fun. And I was talking with Dado as well the other day. He said, yeah, I've been off of drones, and I saw that I'm doing retro music. I said, it's really funny because I'm doing retro music as well.
Tsuyoshi and Prana has just released a new album, which is basically their own retro style, but a little bit modernized. So I think there is a trend now. The Tale of the Shaman was or done by yourself, but by the time Loic has already left the project.
Yeah, well, yeah, I had a few friends coming on to share with me on tracks, but I was much all alone at the time. I had to push myself doing it. And since then, I didn't I released the album, but it's like more compilation of things, and it's only on Bandcamp.
You started your downtempo project in 2000, the Digital Mystery Tour. And the name is not to Beatles, right?
It links to the Beatles, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the magical mystery tour from Beatles. I always thought that the digital mystery tour is also a reference to Beatles.
Yes, it
Is it
is.
not?
Of course it
All
is.
right, so what can you tell about those two albums looking back from more than 20 years now?
I like them. I like the production in the second one. I think it's really deep, and I like the bass end of it very much. The first one, there's some tracks I love and some tracks I dislike a bit. I think it was a great idea. I wish I was doing another album, but I have many tracks for it. But I play them live and I jam them live, and it's really like playing this one. And I've never been able to record it, and it would be so much work to make it sound like tracks. They are tracks, different tracks, but they're made by it's like using a bit technology for that. I use Ableton Live. I don't know if you know that software
Yeah.
for this DMT Live set, and I use inside it about 500 samples, all very well categorized. And I've got bass lines, and I got drums and different drum patterns, and blah 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 and blah 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 and blah 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 and blah 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 and theme, and some of the theme of some of the tracks of DMT as well. But it's all samples that I just jam. I know the key of everything, and I just jam it. Pink, 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 pink. Bang, that one. Jamming that theme inside it. Da-da-da, da-da-da. And this, the emulation of being on stage, sometimes it makes something amazing. To remake it and reorganize it that it sounds as an album in a studio is another story. It's really hard work, I think.
Why aren't you just recording them?
I don't know. Maybe lack of confidence. I think it's great to do a live performance. I don't know why I never did it.
We spoke with Billy Cosmosis a couple weeks ago or month ago, and he had an album released with Adja, which they recorded. It's also a down-tempo album, which they recorded in the Giger Museum in Switzerland. They recorded 5 hours, actually, and then at the end, they just picked the best parts, and that's how that album came together.
Yeah. Yes, well, one technique that's possible when you record everything and re-edit everything and blah, 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 it's like an edit album. Yeah, you can do that, especially if it's a one-track long album. But I don't know why I didn't do it. Maybe I should. Also, the other problem is like when you release the ambient and things like that, there's hardly any market for it. You know, and after that you want to play, apart from Ozora, who has a really good sound system for ambient. All the other gigs you go around the world is such a shit sound most of the time that the production of those albums, you want the sound to be it's better sound. Ambient music always better sound than trance because the tempo being more slow. So the sounds have time to exist. So, and also you go far more deep in the bass and far more high in the trebles and, you know.
Yeah.
So why to make albums of music that you can't perform, that very little people will get inside it? And I don't want to work only for my head. So you'll have the live gig when you have me on the gig, and which I didn't do last time in Ozora. That was more... a set of tracks made up for the occasion, and it was a Total Eclipse meet DMT, so it was a bit special. So it was more like an audio set with a few pearl inside it. Tracks that don't exist, ghost tracks.
So you were here from the beginning. It's been a 35-year journey, at least for now. How do you see it? What have changed since the 90s? The parties, the music has changed, but what do you think the music
The
has
party,
changed?
the people, yes, everything has changed. We have changed. The artists have changed. You know, sometimes you get bored of it. I mean, there was a time I was bored of trance, and I was not long ago really bored of trance. And for sure, when I go to a party and I listen to the same track over and over and over and over again. You don't want to be part of that movement at all anymore. But have to find an aspect where you have fun doing it. So it's just to rediscover it and change it. That's what it evaluates, but it's not evaluating the right way now. It's evaluating to modern artists. I hope they have a revolution going on, but it's not by using everybody the same presets and what they see how to do it on internet that they will make better music. It's not a thing like that will make them having progress. Imagination, yes. Take risk, yes. But, after that, that was banned. That was actually banned from the beginning. You don't have one track. It was many people were doing pagada early 90s as well. Total Eclipse never. It was banned. It was just considered as shit. Then after that, with Marius, we did, but with quite a few tracks. But I think the idea is going down to the rain. I wish it was all trance was going rock and roll again. That would be my.
How do you see the younger generation now reacting to your old tracks? Is the same kind of enthusiasm, same kind of reaction that you get?
Yeah, it's because of that ads. Say, my dad, I've been brought up on your music. I say, yeah, okay, cool. Say, I have to, and after that, you see them, they dance like fucking ape shit. And check out there's on my Facebook, I released a little video of a party I did in Israel after like not so long ago, 1 month and something like that. If you see a dance floor like that, they go absolutely wild. It's taken by a drone like a few meters over. You see fucking all the kids jumping, but like even the parents were not jumping that strongly. And it's all of that. My dad was playing your records. My mom was playing your records. And then, oh, yeah, I'm really happy they like it. Makes me happy.
What are your plans for the future with Total Eclipse?
Well, there's many plans. Like we plan to do. We just joined a new label with a lot of different artists of different style. We are quite different than them. BMSS, Armin's label, and all his friends. And there's a really jolly good vibe actually going on in between. Everybody's really tied up together, and it's like a really good energy. Then Marius is writing a lot for Total Eclipse and very involved in it. I wished he was a bit more invited because many places, like in Israel, when I go play, they don't want to pay 2 plane tickets. And this is really irritating that I went a little bit at my agent there because they never invite Marius. So one time I said, oh, I'm sick, he has to go. And they cancel the gigs. That's not fair, isn't it?
You have a separate project together, 0101.
No, but that was, we made 0101. Then, because there is that label called 0101, right?
Mhm.
And because of that label, Thingy Bob, who was it? I don't remember who it was. Who was that label? Made us trouble saying, yeah, you're using my name, yeah. So Marius and I said, oh, why don't we put everything under the name Total Eclipse at the time? And that was it. That was it for 0101 was finished. We decided the guy let him his name. And I did some other really amazing little project with my friend Tool in Israel. I did this project called the One Entity.
Mhm.
And we did one album. This is one of the most psychedelic, happy night music, psychedelic as shit. It's like a night music with a great smile on your head. not banging crazily fast and things like that, but it's quite intense. I say night because intense music, very intense in psychedelia. Don't know if you ever heard it. It's worth having a listen. It's worth having a listen. Also, the album was a failure from the factory. We made only 100 albums or something like that to give out to friends. And but it's the factory fucked up because all the tracks were linked, but they're mixed in, no? And they made a gap of 2 seconds in between every track, so like a disaster. A total disaster. It doesn't mean nothing anymore.
So was it like a collaboration for some time? You sit together to make tracks
with Tool. No, I was one time I stayed 1 month and a half with him in his studios in Israel, working from 2 in the afternoon to 5 in the morning every day, having a fucking great time. Really, we were having a lot of fun doing this album.
And how did you meet Marius?
Marius did organize the festival of Samothraki.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so I know Marius before that. He was a friend already. And he did organize the Samothraki and brought in Greece so many artists for the first time and things like that. And he's always been making music and tracks. Some of them good tracks, actually, really good tracks. And then after that, he went to live in Brazil, and he somehow set up the scene in Brazil for trance to happen. He's quite responsible for making happening festivals and things like that there. That he never organized himself, but he pushed the people to give them the energy to do it.
and he's now basically part of Total Eclipse.
For a long time, actually, he's part of Total Eclipse now. Yeah, 100%.
And so you play live gigs together as well, right?
Yes, when we can. Yes, with it's always fun. Always fun.
Mhm.
And the music is gonna get very, very different soon. Really.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. You have to wait a bit because it's gonna be coming slowly. I think I have to convince him on many things as well. But I was playing him some stuff that my ideas. I mean, it was gonna, wow, that's a fucking killer track, and that's a fucking like it's retro track, man. It sounds like it was made in '96. That's the idea. How to fool the people. You want a retro gig? Yeah, but I'm gonna play new track, but you'll never find out that it's a new track.
Well, thanks, Steph, for sitting down and having this interview.
Thanks to you.
That was our interview with Total Eclipse. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed creating it. If you're curious about the tracks mentioned in this interview, you can check our YouTube channel where we compiled a playlist with all the tracks mentioned in Part 1 and Part 2.
Thanks for listening, people. If you enjoyed the podcast, hit the like button and be sure to subscribe for more. If you have any ideas, questions, leave a comment or message us on Facebook or Instagram.